Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Seamus, Brady, your host, and for this one, I'm once again joined by Luke Peyton. We are going to run through another crazy weekend of action across the club championships up and down the country. We have action in the football and in the hurling to run through county finals left, right, and centre. Luke, obviously, we'll run through the Dublin one first, being that we're both from Dublin. But in general, what did you make of this weekend? I mean, some huge teams getting knocked out. Like Ballyhale Shamrocks obviously is the immediate one. They're no longer in the picture. The All Ireland club hurling champions knocked out. Like just madness left, right, and centre. But what did you make of the weekend?
Yeah, particularly in hurling, really good weekend this week in hurling. I think in particular the Kilkenny and the Tipperary finals seem to be getting a lot of praise for just how good they were. The Dublin game wasn't quite as close, but like a really ruthless performance. And then St Thomas has gone six in a row. So like in the hurling sense, really really strong weekend. Football probably we'll get onto as well. It's not getting the same level of praise I think at the moment that I think we saw two pretty stinkers of games then Mayo and Cork really were very very cagey, so kind of a bit of a mix for the two sports I suppose at the weekend, with one having a really strong weekend and the other kind of sparking a bit of debate about rule changes. So but look, we'll get into that as it goes along.
Yeah, no, we'll start with the small ball and then we'll work our way up to football. We're going to start, as I said, in our area, best expertise, the Dublin Senior Hurling Championship final. And this is definitely my best bit of expertise anyway, given that I've been working with Dublin behind the scenes. I've seen the championship from day one. And the Fianna for me, this year just felt like their time, and it has been their time. They won in the final. It's their first ever Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. So obviously, off the back, like massive congratulations to Nafina. It's their first ever Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. And when you consider the heartbreak that they had losing to Kilmacrud in back-to-back finals, the 2021 final was particularly heartbreaking. This time, though, it really did feel like their time, didn't it? I mean, 219 to 9 points. The minute Sean Curry got those goals, in my opinion, you knew the game was over. And they really steamed to victory in this one.
Yeah, and they like what a way to do it, because like you look at previous years, the heartbreak and everything like that as well. I think you said it on the preview show, is that you said that Nafina were either going to blitz Bowden, or if it was a tight game, then you might be saying that Bowden can be in as well. Well, anyway, you were spot on with that anyway, in the sense that Nafina absolutely blitzed them, and like there was not, this wasn't even like this wasn't a game from very early on. I'd say for about 20 minutes I think this was kind of done, but it was just a ruthless performance. And yeah, and look, we again said on the preview show as well, the fact they've done this without Donald Burke, and they've probably played their best stuff without having Donald Burke now as well. And it's just that they're, yeah, this year they did look to be on next level. And as the championship went on, they just seem to be getting better and better for each round. And like, we'll get into the individual part of the game in a minute, but I think they'll be looking at it with the Ballyhale result. The other thing as well, like they're probably thinking all of a sudden now that they can give Leinster a good old stab as well here too. So yeah, no, look, just really, really good performance from them.
And what happened to Bowden? Like, why did they just not turn up? Because they never got going. And you're looking at it thinking, Nafina also missed a penalty. Like Colin Curry missed a penalty when Nafina were 5 points to 2 up, I believe it was at that stage. Conor O'Donoghue makes an amazing save from Colin Curry from the penalty. And you're thinking, I mean, there's your shot in the arm. Wake up.
Yeah.
And they just never got going.
Yeah, no, look, absolutely. And that's the thing, is like, it's funny how the narrative changes a little bit, where like before the game, everybody's talking about the experience of Bowden with the likes of Simon Lambert, Conor Keeney still coming on as well. Connor Dooley's been played for Dublin through the years. Paul Ryan, Nolan McMorrow. Like all of a sudden, everybody's saying that experience, how it'll help them. And then immediately after the game's over, people are saying, oh, Bowden are playing too many older players that don't have the legs for anymore. They need to move on, need to get youth in there too. So it is kind of funny. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It just, I think on the day, they just didn't really show up, and they couldn't really cope with Nafina's work rate, Nafina's energy. I just, yeah, and like that was the thing, was they just didn't really seem to have any answer at all for what Nafina had up front. And like you look at the last day out, AJ Murphy with 3-3 in the semi final, and like Shane Barrett had a good game that day as well, whereas the Currys were a little bit quieter that day. And then look, yesterday the two Currys were absolutely unmarkable as well, particularly Sean Curry, who like you look at when it comes to club players, like he's as good as there is, and geez, you're looking at that thinking you'd love to see that form produce at intercounty because what 2-5, 2-5 yesterday, and then previously the previous final against Kilmacud where he hit 8 points. Like his performances in Dublin County finals have just been insane. So yeah, no, look, I think the Nafina full forward line absolutely electric and just really unmarkable, and Bowden just couldn't get the grips with them at all.
Yeah, no, they definitely couldn't. They look like a deer in the headlights, to be honest. Like, if you were to tell me one team is going for their first ever championship and one is hurling royalty in Dublin, like, you'd say that Nafina were definitely that. I mean, Bowden looked like they'd never been in the final before and didn't know and let the occasion get to them. And that much experience on the field, you'd have to question what went wrong. And look, I do agree with you that I wouldn't just point at it and say, oh, it's, the legs are gone, etc., because they were good enough to get here. They were good enough to beat Vincent's. They were good enough to get out of the group. They were good enough to, win their quarter final against Coola. They're still a good side. And like, just because they didn't turn up in the final doesn't mean that all of a sudden those players should walk away. But they definitely need to sit down and look at the drawing board, because while, yes, they are on the older side, Nafina are, the majority of their team is in their early 20s. So I was saying this on the preview show as well. I actually think that now that Nafina have got that off their back and they've got that pressure of winning a Dublin title off their back, I actually think now Nafina could do 3-4 in a row now.
Yeah, no, look, absolutely. And like the prospect is that Donald Burke is coming back into that team as well for next year, and that they do have that without the monkey off their back. The only thing is, like, the forward line did function very, very well. And I know you're kind of looking at it thinking, like, he obviously goes back in, but like it's very hard on the fella that comes to drop out, because all of a sudden they have a bit of size up there as well, with like Shane Barrett offering a bit of size. John Tierney's an absolute revelation there at wing forward. He's a huge man as well, and offers the ball winning that they badly needed. Then you've the two Currys, and you've got AJ Murphy, and then Paul Stacey had a good old championship as well in there too. So like Donald Burke will come in for one of them as well. But the forward line did function really, really well, even in his absence here as well. So yeah, look, they just seem to have a really good balance about their team this year, and everybody had a set part and knew what they were doing. But like, yeah, no, I do think that they were just very, very impressive. And from once we got into the knockout stages as well, there was a bit of an air about Nafina that this was the year, because like that Lucan side that they beat along the way had been beating everyone all ends up, county players all over the place, huge amount of experience, and it's like Nafina just racing to a 9-1 lead against them as well. So now, look, I just think, yeah, I think Nafina really, really, really good all shape here as well. And yeah, I think I'd love to see them go on a bit of a run. And again, like, I know for us, a north side team winning in Dublin just never seems to happen. So like, if it'd be nice to see a team in the north side kind of step up and have a bit of dominance for the next couple of years. And like you're saying, with the potential of the young players, they absolutely could. They absolutely could. I think with the way it's going, Bowden will probably lose a few of those older lads in the next couple of years, and it does look like Nafina and Kilmacud are the two young sides going forward in the next couple of years as well. They do have the age profile, and I would say Lucan do have some really good young players in there too as well. So like, I think they'll be the three that will be competing over the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We're going to stick Leinster, but obviously a massive congratulations to Nafina. First ever Dublin Senior Hurling Championship, richly deserved. I mean, to come back to the well after the heartbreaks that they experienced, fair dues to them. And yeah, like, I think they're teed up for a potential dynasty in Dublin, no doubt about that, in my opinion. Now, in the Leinster Championship, that also got shook up on Sunday by Ballyhale Shamrocks being knocked out by O'Loughlin Gales. O'Loughlin Gales beating them in the final by 20 points to 19. So Ballyhale's run of 5 consecutive Kilkenny titles has come to an end. Paddy Deegan hit the winner in the 2nd minute of injury time. So, like, I mean, you're talking about shaking up the championship. Like, this shakes up the entire All-Ireland Club Hurling Championship. The fact that Ballyhale Shamrocks are gone. And I think, like, myself and Aaron were talking about it, and we were saying, like, Ballyhale Shamrocks have their rocky performance, but they seem to have already had that in the Kilkenny quarterfinal when they bounced back last minute. TJ Reid saved them, and then you're talking that they really comfortably saw off James Stephens, but then O'Loughlin Gales catch them in the final, and like, that's 5 titles in a row ended. Paddy Deegan hit the winner to seal the victory for O'Loughlin Gales. Mark Bergen led the way with 10 points. Like, talk about shaking up the championship.
Yeah, and I think the thing with it is this year that they did, I know they nearly got caught in the quarterfinal, but there was a bit more vulnerability about Ballyhale this year. And yeah, look, the comments just literally came in the point I was about to make there, and that, like, I think that the players they were missing really hurt them. Like, it did really hurt them. Joey Holden, probably the main one, I think, as well. And yeah, look, and that's the other point. Not a single sub made throughout the game. That, like, when have we seen this from Ballyhale, that nobody coming on to add to as well. You look at the midfield that was named in today as well. An entirely new midfield starting as well, as opposed to last year. No Ronan Corkin and Paddy Mullen. Paddy Mullen had to be moved back to wing back as well there too. That they just seem to be a little bit more stretched this year. And yeah, look, I think O'Loughlin Gales have always had this thing where they were able to run Ballyhale close, and this was always kind of be the game that I thought that they would have to just try to get through this one. I think once, if Ballyhale got through Kilkenny and gone to Leinster, I think they would have started to come good and to pick up a little bit as well. But you've seen in previous years that they've always Kilkenny's always been an absolute dogfight for them to get out of. And once they get out of Leinster, out of Kilkenny, and then maybe get through a tough enough game in Leinster, then they seem to kind of hit the ground running a little bit from there and just improve and go to strength and strength. But this year, I think the panel was just a little bit too stretched. And look, they came up against O'Loughlin Gale side, who are actually, like, they're a good fit. They're a good fit for Ballyhale, because you look at club level, the quality of forward they have though, but like there's not many teams like O'Loughlin Gales that can say that they've a Hugh Lawler, Mikey Butler, and Paddy Deegan in their defence. And like, yeah, sure, Ballyhale have the 4 superstars up front, but that's 3 of them already kind of marked by top defenders. Like, they're like some of the best in the position in the country, like arguably the best, like Hugh Lawler and Mikey Butler. So, like, I think there was the upset was going to be on the cards, but like you're saying, it does throw the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit now. Leinster is going to be an absolute free for all. I think there's 3 or 4 teams that'll probably be looking now, fancying their chances there, and I think, like, I know they have a long way to go through in Munster, but I think Ballygunner will be licking their lips right now. I think that they're all of a sudden the pretty heavy favourites for the All Ireland now.
Well, that's it. That it makes everybody else in the championship immediately go, well, Ballyhale are gone. Like, it's the kingpins, it's the top dogs for the last 10, 15 years, if you're talking over the grand scheme of things. They went pretty much from the team with Henry Shefflin and James Chaffetz-Patrick and Michael Fennelly and all those lads. They pretty much seamlessly faded into this team now with Adrian Mullins and the Owen Codys and the TJ Reid still going strong. Like, they just have consistently been excellent for the last 15, 20 years in the club championship. And now they're gone. And that will create this sense of, geez, we better make this count now. So I expect the Club Hurling Championship to be fascinating from this point on. But a massive, massive congratulations to O'Loughlin Gales. Definitely did not see that coming. I will hold my hands up. TJ hit 9 points for them. He deserves a shout out. He had a very, very good performance. But yeah, definitely going to shake up the championship from this point forward. Also, there was history made on the weekend. Galway Senior Hurling Championship final between St. Thomas's and Turlough. St. Thomas's 2-12, Turlough 1-13. And with this victory, St. Thomas's have equaled the record of 6 Galway hurling titles in a row. And ironically, that equals the record that Turlough set. So it's quite fitting that there was Turlough that they beat in the final to level that record. Turlough themselves set that in the 1960s. Aina Burke led the way with 2-2 as they claimed a 6th crown in a row. And St. Thomas's, they really have been the kingpins of Galway now for the last 6 years.
Yeah, and it doesn't show, like, there's no sign of them letting up as well here, that like teams have kind of come around in the last couple of years, a bit more of a challenge to them. They were blitzing it, and then like they have got a bit more of a challenge in recent years, but look, they've come out on top again. I know this was another kind of close enough game, but like the usual kind of suspects stepping up again and guiding them over the line. Like, in particular, look, Aina Burke seems to be a fella at club level that's just been absolutely brilliant for them in years. It hasn't fully happened from Galway, but again, like his first touch in particular for the goals there at the weekend were absolutely sensational. So yeah, like they're you know what you're getting with Thomas's is that they're just such a solid side, and I think they'll probably have a bit of a motivation about them after what happened against Dunloy last year, that they probably were probably pretty shocked to have to have lost that game as well. And I'd say they probably have a fair bit of motivation on the to kind of make up for that now as well. Galway Championship done, into an All-Ireland semi-final already there as well. Like, yeah, they don't seem to have the same level of quality, I don't think, as the likes of a Ballygunner or maybe in the Piercic later on in the competition. But like, they're a solid side. They've been here, they've done that before. They know how to win finals and stuff as well. And also, look, the big story I thought of is there as well. Davy Burke coming on in about the 45th minute as well. Like, that's a ridiculously quick recovery from the injury that he had, like a cruise shit as well, to be back. Sure, that was only the start of this year, and from to already be back now as well, I'd say within 8 months, like, it's a really, really quick recovery. Him to get on, win a game, to get a bit of game time, and to win a county championship as well. Like, that's like, it's a positive note for his year to end after probably something that would be very, very frustrating year from. So yeah, no, he's coming back at the right time for a potential run later on the season in the club championship too. But look, six titles in a row is just pretty staggering consistency. And like, you look in Galway as well. Yeah, again, they were pushed pretty close in a few of the games this year, but when it comes to quality, they do just always seem to have just about enough to win the championships up there.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. Do you think, in terms of the position that they're in, do you think they're in a better spot that they were this time last year?
I do actually, yeah. No, I think so. And then, like, I think their club form the form they demonstrated in Galway as well proves that too. I think last year they did kind of limp through Galway a little bit, and they were pushed very, very close, whereas they have been more convincing in Galway this year. And look, I do think that if I know Dunloy are out, but if there was a repeat of that game this year, I do think they'd be in a lot better position to come up trumps in that as well. Some players like Connor Cooney's playing a fair bit better. Fintan Burke seems to have his form back as well too. So yeah, no, look, if they can keep going the right way and get the Davy Burks back fit and everything like that as well, I do think they are in better nick than they were last year.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think that they seem to be caught on the hop somewhat by Dunloy last year, but they seem like that really seemed to hurt them last year. So I feel like they'll be better off this time around. But yeah, massive congratulations to them. As I said, making history. But another one where making history. Speaking of the Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship final replay. So that was Killadangan. It took them 2 goals, but they managed to beat Turles Sarsfields in the end in what was, as you said at the start, a cracking game of hurling. Killadangan 121, Turles Sarsfields 1 goal and 20 points. So, I mean, as close as it could have possibly been between these two teams, but in the end, Killadangan coming out on top.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really, really, really enjoyed this one. Thought this was really, really entertaining, and yeah, just a really, really good game of hurling here. And like, I think the key moment, probably the Sean Hayes goal with about 2 minutes to go, was that it was a lovely, lovely brawl from McGrath, left half back into him anyway, kind of eye the needle pass, and then from the 21. I think I was thinking in my head, it was a draw game at the time, tap it over anyway as well and just get yourself to score to settle you down. But he absolutely rifled it in the bottom corner, and that was the winning of the game. Turles hit the last 2 points, but it was yeah, it was just too far for them to bridge the gap after that as well. So that was the winning of the game. I think Killadangan they were deserving of their win. They probably were a little bit wasteful with their chances. Their conversion rate wasn't that high, and they left a good few scores behind them. But if you look at the overall balance of the play, they were really, really good, and they were fully deserving to win. Like, I do think that over the 2 games that I think they did edge it, and that, so like, I don't think there can be any complaints really. I thought, look, worthy winners, and yeah, look, they did a few interesting things as well. From the first game and then the last day as well, Willie Connor's positioning, where he was nearly a free man Barry Nash style cornerback, which I don't think anybody really saw coming. That was really, really interesting, and he was absolutely brilliant in it as well. Like, the first day, obviously, with the points to force the replay, and then look, yesterday as well, hitting 3 points from
Man
that
of the
position.
match as well.
And which,
Man of the match.
yeah,
He won
yeah,
man of the match, yeah.
wordy man of the match. He got an absolute world of ball, hit his scores as well, and look, I think that was an incredible find, to be fair to the Killadangan coaching team as well, to have picked that one out, because I don't think anyone saw that one coming. So yeah, look, just really two really good games. And yeah, look, Thurles will be disappointed, but they have a nice young team coming through. Like Paddy Creedon really stepped up yesterday. Dara Stakeham's a great prospect as well. And look, there is some nice young players coming through for Thurles too. So now look, Kildangan fully deserving to win, but just two really good games at top.
Yeah, true. And on top of that, like I think Billy Seymour deserves a shout. 9 points from him again. Another excellent performance. He's deadly accurate from the frees. Turles Sarsfield has only had 4 scorers in total. A remarkable statistic from the game. Aidan McCormack hit 13 points and 1-3 came from Paddy Creedon. So those two definitely deserve shouts as well. But ultimately, Killanangan did enough, and a massive congratulations to them on achieving this Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship title. Now, moving on from hurling to football. We have a lot of football finals to get through. We're going to start in Cork. The Cork Senior Football Championship final of 2023 was won by Castlehaven. Myself and yourself did call this one right. We said Castlehaven will win it, even though Nemo have all the experience. However, it did look like Nemo Rangers might be about to get over the line in the 57 minute when Barry Cripps finished off a point to make it 9 points to 8, but 3 points in a row. From surprise, the Hurley brothers for Castlehaven, Michael and Brian, saw Castlehaven get over the line. The Hurley brothers provided 10 of the 11 points that Castlehaven scored. Michael Hurley got all of his 5 from play and was man of the match. And Castlehaven, in my opinion, deserving Cork champions for 2023.
Yeah, look, and but you talk about only like 4 scores as well. This again thing, only 3 scores for Castlehaven. Probably not the prettiest game of all time, but look, job done. Finals there to be won, and I think based off what we've seen in the Cork Championship, we talked about in the previous show, was that I thought that they were kind of blitzing teams lately. They're really coming through strongly as well, and yeah, no, I think based on the overall of the entire championship, they deserving of their title as well. I think they have more in them as well. You talk about some of the players that could have contributed a little bit more into it as well. On another day as well, you expect more scores. Jack Cahalane coming forward, Damien Cahalane, Conor Cahalane, Mark Collins in there as well. Really, really strong side. And you know what? I think it will help the Cork Championship. I think that Castlehaven coming through, I do think it gives them a good enough chance at competing for a Munster anyway as well. I think them and Clonmel will definitely be 2 teams to watch there as well. I think it'll be Dingle representing Kerry, but I'd be jumping straight away. I'd be saying Castlehaven and Clonmel might be 2 teams that I think would I'd be leaning towards as well. And just before to move on, I know it was kind of this kind of quote was getting a little bit of attention at the Nemo manager, saying that he wasn't too impressed kind of with the style of play in the game, but unfortunately he was saying it's the only way you can win. So I know that sparked a lot of debate, that a lot of people were talking about the final being quite cagey and not great on the eye. And yeah, there was a little bit of this feeling across the entire weekend where the finals and the football did seem to be a little bit win at all costs. And it didn't lend probably to the greatest spectacle ever, but Castlehaven won't mind about that.
Well, that is the truth. And look, that's a different debate in itself. It's like our game is teed up, like, let's be honest, sometimes set up in ways that isn't pretty, and set like it genuinely is. Because like be honest with yourself, Luke, like if me and you were somehow the Cluiche team was drafted in to manage a Division 4 team and we were playing against a Division 2 team or something, like, I'm being honest, what's the first plan I'd do? Park everyone behind the ball. Let's get physically fit and let's just hold on to the ball. Let's be nasty to play against and try and drag it into a battle here. And the game allows for that. And my point is that when you look at other sports, how, for example, basketball had one infamous game which led to the shot clock being introduced because it was the worst game of basketball anybody had ever seen. So they introduced the shot clock. And you're thinking, is there something that the GAA can do to limit this? Like, there's a limit on the amount of hand passes you can do in a row, or there's a limit on once you cross the halfway line, you can't go back. Or things like that mean that you have to attack more often. That would make the game easier on the eye.
Yeah, and look, I think that's the thing, is that it's kind of, because you can't blame management, is because the game is set up for defenders more than attackers at the moment, I think is the problem. And that, I think the rules encourage defensive play more than attacking play. And yeah, look, I've seen that the consecutive hand passes in a row might be a potential thing to try. Other people are saying reduce it down to 13 aside or something like that, where or yeah, just something where
Which one would
either
you go?
or something where certain amount of players have to be inside the 45, that you have to keep three players up, or it has to be at least a certain players and a certain amount of half. There has to be something kind of tried, I think, here a little bit, because yeah, it is becoming quite difficult to watch, particularly if the club championship's going to be played at this time of the year. We're getting into no, nearly into November now, when the pitches are going to be really they're going to be tough to play on. The weather's not been good at all lately as well. Like with all these things as well, if you're a management team as well and you're saying we're going to be playing in probably a bit of a bog, the weather's going to be absolutely shite as well. How are you going to be able to say, let's go out and play fancy football here, let's go out and kick passes all over the place as well? You'd be mad. The ball would just be getting stuck in the turf and you wouldn't be able to string any passes together. So like there has to be some sort of thing looked at here as well, because otherwise yeah, we are going to keep seeing these games. Well, I know we're talking Cork here at the moment, but we're going to get onto the Mayo game, the 6-4 in a minute as well, which made the Cork final look an absolute cracker in comparison. So yeah, no, just look, they're probably, yeah, we'll see if there's what the powers that be come up with, because I do think we are going that way though at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think for me personally, like I think it's a separate video in itself, maybe something to come on Cluiche, but to talk about how can you make the game better to watch, like the genuine truth, because the basketball example is a really good one. Something about, I don't know, just definitely the hand passes is the one to target. The hand passes is the one to target. Like as Pat Spillane said, look, sometimes I don't agree with what he says, but a lot of the times I do. There's no skill involved in the hand pass. There's no skill involved. And the art of kicking is very much taken a back seat. And when you look at the stats, like kicking has gone down, like in the game, the amount of kick passes has gone down. And like there was interesting styles and everything like that, but it's just more on the club level. And at inter-county level, I don't think defensive systems is too much of an issue. But at the club level, it definitely is. And we'll move on to the Mayo final. We will. Like that game. And the Mayo Championship is behind the paywall as well. So imagine if you paid to watch that game and you only got to see, I have it here, the exact number. You only got to see 3 points from play in the entire game. Like that's just tragic. And I'm not like, I don't care about the conditions, because like you look over at the other side, there was more scores in the London football final, there was more scores in the Derry football final, more in Tyrone, more in Waterford, more in every other championship on the same weekend. So you can't point the finger and say, oh, conditions. Did the conditions make it hard? Yes, but Brady set out to defend.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, like there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to make the game more enjoyable. And look, we have the whole winter to think about this and start introducing it. Introduce it for the college competitions. Introduce it for the Allianz League, and see how the scores go. And if the scores don't go up, well then it didn't work. But we can't have again more defensive systems and everything like that, because people want to be entertained at the end of the day. People want to be entertained. And one rule that I really liked that Kieran Whelan suggested was there was something similar to the basketball rule. Do you know how in basketball in the last couple of minutes, if you foul, it's an immediate 2 shots?
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that in the GAA would be pretty good. Like if the referee deems that you cynically fouled someone on the opposing penalty area, well then he moves it all the way up to the 13-yard line right in front of your goal and gives a free in. So like something that makes it like, so say if a team was holding on to a 1-point lead, they cannot foul. They cannot foul under any circumstances, because then they have conceded the equalizer. Things like that. And I think, look, it's something to think about in the cold season. But for Castlehaven on this side, I do agree with what Matthew said. I think Castlehaven will be a better representative for Cork going into the championship. I do think they have more attacking flair. I think they have more exciting players to watch. The Hurley brothers are a magnificent pairing that they have up there. And I think that you can build pretty much any club team around them. Dingle, I think I would lean to as being favourites for the province. But Castlehaven and Clonmel, I think, could catch them if they're not on their A game, especially after the beating that they took at the hands of Mid Kerry. But I just don't understand what that whole thing is. Keep on moving on. I don't know what happened there. We're going to keep on moving on. And we have next up the Derry Senior Football Championship final. And this was, we talked earlier about shaking up the championship. This is normal service continued now at this stage for Waddy Graham's Glen. They are in a glory period. Under Malachy O'Rourke, it's their third Derry Senior Football Championship in a row. A 6-point victory for Glen. A dominant second half performance from them got the job done. Cathal Mulholland hit the only goal of the game in a game that really was played on Glen's terms, in my opinion. O'Donovan Rossa never really got going to the point where I thought they looked like they could beat Glen. But what did you make of the game?
Yeah, look, I think you summed up pretty well. I think that, look, by all accounts, it was a pretty slow start for the Glen. They didn't come out of the blocks absolutely flying into it as well. They kind of felt their way into the game. And yeah, look, they're just a real smoothly ran machine. And I think just up in Ulster and up in the county games, they just know how to win. They have this thing about them now that they just know how to win, and that, like, as the Slot Neil game probably was the Derry final for them. And like, once they knew that they could get over Slot Neil, I think they know that they are the team in the county, and that coming into this game, like, we were pretty confident. I think we kind of said about the 5 or 6 point mark here as well that we expect them to get over the line. But like, I think look, the Glen, they're just so kind of well ran at this stage. They know exactly what they're doing. Everybody knows where they have to be. Everyone knows what they have to do. And even with the slow start kind of at the weekend, that they just kind of guided their way into the game. They kicked the scores when they're available. And like, they took care of business pretty well. And like, you look at them as well, they do seem in great shape. They've really put themselves down as like a strong contenders for not just Ulster, but later on the All Ireland series as well.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that they have the Kilcoo element about them this year? Remember how Kilcoo lost to Currafin and then came back with bad intentions the year after. Do you think Glen are coming with that energy? Because the last two champions have been beaten in the final the year before. Kilcoo lost to Currafin, then came back and won it, and beat Kilmacud Crokes, who then came back and won it. Can Glen continue that trend?
Yeah, look, I think they can't be any more motivated. It's like, considering the whole hullabaloo last year, the 16-man thing as well, that the way they just kind of the drama that came there, like, you can't have a better motivator than that. And you look at how Leinster shaping up, they're probably looking at it right now, and I'd say they're thinking, like, we're well on course for this Kilmacud rematch. And like, look, Ulster will have to come first, and they're gonna have some absolutely huge tasks along the way. Potentially they might have to face Kilcoo along the way to get there, but I'd say in the back of their minds they're probably thinking, geez, we'd love to have another crack at Kilmacud up in Croke Park. They're probably looking at Kilmacud a little bit, that Kilmacud have lost a few fellas as well, whereas the Glen seem to be pretty much the same entity as what they were last year, maybe even playing a little bit better this year. So they probably definitely have that in the back of their mind. But look, there's a long way to go between now and then. And Ulster is a bit of a mine up there. Like, it's there's going to be some real potential banana skins up there too that they'll have to get out of first. And if they do face off in a potential Ulster final, like, people are maybe predicting that if they both get there, like, they'll have an almighty task against Kilcoo first.
No, big time. And you're thinking, like, there's the likes of Crossing Glen Rangers, Scottstown, Trillick, Nave Cunnell, that are all in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's some big clubs that they need to get by. Kilcoo and Glen, they're the obvious two, because they've been in the final the last 2 years, with Kilcoo obviously winning it. But it is going to be difficult to actually accurately say that team is going to win it. And for Glen, look, they are better, I think, this year than they were last year, because you look at it, you're right about their performance. It was just smooth. It was just like they know what they're doing at this point. They're like, yeah, here we go. We're going to do this and we're going to win. the game was played on their terms from the start. And that's kind of one thing that Kilmacud also developed. This kind of hit you in the first half, and now you're playing the game on their terms for the rest of the game. And Glen have really mastered that, particularly in the Derry Championship, that they get 4 or 5 points ahead, and then for the rest of the game, you're playing the game on their terms. And that's why the first 20, 30 minutes, I said it in last year's club final between Crokes and Glen, was the most important spell of the game. Because Crokes inched that bit ahead, and then they were constantly in front for the rest of the game. But it is going to be very interesting to see if they can go further this time. Look, Kieran McFall's back in the team. He wasn't there last year. And they are that 1 year wiser, 1 year stronger. They've been to Croke Park now. It's not new territory for them. They know what they're doing when they get to that stage. And they have the hunger of being hurt last year. So I definitely will keep an eye out for them. Now, the next two I'm going to pair together because, number one, they're playing against each other in the next round. And number two, we need to make the content about the Mayo final more interesting by adding in the London. I'm only messing. But 3 scores from play. You understand what I'm saying there. The London Senior Football Championship final finished Fulham Irish 11 points, Tyrconnell Gales 8 points. It was a great day for Fulham Irish as they had beaten St. Kiernan's in the Reserve Championship as well by 1-9 to 1-8 on the same day. So that's a double for the club. But now by winning this, they go up against the Mayo champions, Ballina Stephenites, who beat Brady on a whopping scoreline of 6 points to 4. In that final. So these two games, now it's Ballina going up against Fulham Irish. But what did you make of the two of them?
Well, yeah, look, I know we are slagging off the Mayo, but I will put all my money on that there will not be a shock in the next round anyway. That Ballina will look a lot better against Fulham Irish anyway, and you'd like to think maybe the next round that they won't be facing the Brady wall again, and that. Yeah, no, look, I think Ballina, there is a bit of an air to it that I know both sides are probably guilty of being quite defensive, but I do think the Ballina did try to play a little bit more football than Brady anyway, and yeah, they definitely did have a bit more quality on the day as well. But yeah, I think they are. I think there is a good side in there, and that I think they have shown that they are. Yeah, that they are a worthy winner of the Mayo Championship. If you look at their performances throughout the championship again, I think they were completely deserving them as well. They were the team in the championship, and again, it's the cliche that we're making the whole time. The finals are there to be won. They won't really care about how they won it, just that they did win it. So no, look, they'll be happy enough with that. But let's not pretend that this was a classic or anything like that as well. And I think, look, there was a lot of talk you mentioned before about the paywall as well. So there's a lot of people who are very bitter about kind of paying to watch what was probably a disappointing enough spectacle. But again, Ballina won't care, and they'll go on as well. And I do think that as the championship goes on, they'll be playing better. They'll be playing good quality teams in Connacht as well. You look at the Galway champions are always going to be good. You have Roscommon as well, teams coming through there. These are always good sides again. That the championship should open up, and we get to see a bit more Ballina's attack and play because they're well able to do it. Yeah, but it nearly was a bit of a dragged into a really tough dogfight at the weekend, and a dogfight that nobody really wants to watch.
Well, that's it. For Brady on one hand, surely would the likes of Aidan O'Shea and Conor O'Shea and Matthew Ruan and all those lads sitting there, would they not kind of think to themselves, God, we didn't even go for it?
Yeah, I think so.
You set up and you just hope to what? That's what me and you were talking about. They played, they didn't try and score more. They tried to concede less. And I don't know. It's a difficult game to try and root for. If that's your plan going into the rest of the championship, I do agree with you. Ballina do attack more. And, them going up against Currafin or Moycullen will probably be a better spectacle than if Brady did. Because if Brady had gone up against Moycullen or Currafin, they would have parked everyone behind the ball again. And I wouldn't personally have wanted to see that.
Yeah, no, look, and I think as it goes along, I think you'll see as well is that when you talk about, in particular, Curfin and Mike Cullen, that their style of play is more progressive. It's better to watch as well. There's a bit more balance to it as well. It's not just defensive overload as well. So I think from a Mayo GA standpoint, it's probably better for the county that Ballina are going on ahead. But look, based on that, I think the Galway champions won't.
Brady got 1 point from play, Luke. 1 point from play.
Yeah, and looking at, and in the first half, it was 4-1 at half time. They came back, so immediately after half time, the 2 scores. They come straight out with 2 scores back to back anyway as well. And you think, Jesus, they must have got a bollocking, and that the players set up too defensively in the first half, and at half time they said, right, we're correcting this and we're coming out properly. But after that, they got back to 1 point and they went straight back into their shell and said, oh, we're kind of back in it now a little bit. We're a bit closer to them now. Let's kind of keep these things tight. And just no real ambition showed at all. And look, Ballina picked off the few scores when they needed to. And yeah, look, they probably were comfortable enough, I'd say as well. So yeah, no, look, it was very much a afraid of losing type game. And look, I think that Brady did seem to be the team that were far more afraid of losing than Ballina.
I agree with you. I think that's a good way of putting it. I think both sides looked scared to lose more than in twos to win. Ballina showed slightly more attacking intent, and I feel like by that they deserve the victory and seal their 37th county title. And I agree with you. No way are they going to lose to Fulham Irish, even though massive congratulations to Fulham Irish that they got that victory in the London Senior Football Championship. Now, moving on from that. So, sorry, it was the crucial point. I will give a shout out here. The crucial score was from Luke Feeney. When that went over, that was game over for Brady on that regard. Now, the Tyrone Senior Football Championship final. And unbelievably, the trend has continued. So once again, you're talking about how long has it been since a club in Tyrone has gone back to back? Well, think no more. 2005 was the last time that a club in Tyrone won back-to-back titles. That was when Carrickmore did it. This year, I thought, God, if anyone can do it, it's Errol Kieran with the Canavan brothers, with Peter Hart, with Joe Aguz, and they get to the final and they steamroll to the final. And Trillick stopped them after extra time, 113 to 13 points. What a victory for Trillick. It's their 9th Tyrone title.
Yeah, look, to be honest, this is one I didn't see coming. And that, I think we remember we talked about this last year, that when we saw Ergo Kieran win last year, and you saw the youth that's on their side, particularly the fellas you mentioned, but particularly the 3 Canavans up front, all like Tommy Canavan, Rory and Dara, when you see the age of them as well, the scores they get at club level, I remember saying last year that I thought that they had the potential to find, this is finally the team that will buckle the trend, that these players are young, they're only going to get better and better. And you add in that with the experience of Peter Hart, Connor Quinn in there as well, that I really, really thought that this was going to be the team that would be able to buckle it. But yeah, I look at it, it keeps going on, and the Tyrone Championship is it's just staggering really how it happens, like you said. And the form book as well, the form that Ergo Kieran showed getting there as well, they really did look to be cruising. Trillick also had the added thing of their talisman, their best player, Matty Donnelly, not even playing, and yet they still come out on top. It's just a phenomenal performance really from them as well. I know Richie Donnelly hugely steps up as well there, but staggering really in Tyrone, just how every single year new champion again. But yeah, what a win for Trillick though, against missing the key man, coming up against a team that are absolutely wiping the floor with everyone as well, and to come out on top, just really, really great result for them as well. And hands up as well, just didn't see this one coming.
Yeah, no, absolutely phenomenal from Trillick, and they go on into the Ulster Championship now, and Crossmaglen Rangers. I mean, what a battle that is going to be.
Yeah, look, and I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and because you look at Crossmaglen last year, great championship in Armagh last year for them as well, but then go out and Ulster really early doors. So yeah, I think Trillick won't have fear about them anyway. They're definitely kind of looking at as well. The Ulster Championship, we talked about the two big guns and the rest of the thing there as well. They're probably thinking, look, we've a free hit at Ulster. They probably won't be going in with huge expectation to win the Ulster Championship, but they can just say they can go and give it a free rattle. Crossmaglen, the pressure's on Crossmaglen yeah, the pressure's on Crossmaglen to come up good, because like they will have that question about them last year, that going out in the first round again. We all know their firepower that they have up front, like Jamie Clark, Rian O'Neill, Keeman Conville, like that's as good as it gets. Like all three of them in the full forward line. That's the big chest for Trillick, stopping them three. But like I think, look, you wouldn't write them off. I think it'll be a close game, and yeah, it'll be a classic Ulster style game where it'll be tight, and yeah, like these games just seem to be always have like, yeah, they always seem to go down to the wire, these games, and yeah, look, Ulster Championship always brings a few surprises. So yeah, Crossmaglen probably going in as the favourites in here, but like, yeah, Trillick, they won't be scared of them.
Well, that's it. I mean, Trillick weren't favourites going into this game, so they won't give a damn about that. And a massive congratulations to them on winning the Tyrone Senior Football Championship. The trend, as I said, once again, remarkably continues. Now, we've got two more football finals left and a couple of provincial semi-finals on the LGFA side. So we're going to start with Waterford's football final. Rathcormac won 9, Denier 6 points. And then in the other one, Wicklow's had their senior football championship final replay. Blessington 11 points, Rathnew a goal and 6. So starting with the Waterford one. So in this game, man of the match Jason Curry hit 1-4 for Rathcormac as they beat the Nair, and the Nair had beaten them in the previous two finals. So third time lucky, they get sweet revenge, and it's their first title since 2019.
Yeah, look, and look, I think you summed up. Didn't see this game. I just have Jason Curry being top player for Waterford in recent years as well. Him coming up trumps, and like the Nair have kind of always had this level of dominance in the Waterford Championship, particularly in the football as well. They always seem to come up trumps. So look for them to overcome it in the third year as well. They'd be delighted with that anyway. Yeah, look, and again, same thing we're saying, they'll be heavy underdogs in Munster now. In like, if you compare them to the other four teams that have come through as well, that look, they will be they'll be the least favourite in Munster by far. But look, they're true now as well. And they have a free crack anyway at Munster there as well. So look, they'll be absolutely delighted with that as well. That's the big thing for them to take now after the last two seasons not coming up trumps there as well, to get over the line there. I'm sure they'll be celebrating that heavily down there.
No, for sure. And like, that's it. To taste success against a team that has had your number in two previous years is going to give them absolutely massive satisfaction. And that's the thing, is that the Nire's main players are all hurlers. It's all Jamie Barron, Conor Gleeson, like these guys who were doing the business for them on the football side. Yeah, I'm sure Efi Fitzgerald, when he was Waterford manager last year, would have liked to have those lads in the panel. Of course, Waterford haven't hired an inter-county manager as of this moment. And then the Wicklow Senior Football Championship final replay. So it went to a draw the first time between Blessington and Rathnew. This time Rathnew led by a goal and 3 to 4 points at halftime, thanks to Gary Burns' goal. But Craig O'Sullivan was fantastic in the second half for Blessington. He very much led the charge. He won man of the match. They turned it around and got the victory. Them going into the Leinster Championship, also, we talked about that. You know, teams that are going into the Munster Championship, Leinster is the same. I mean, you have obviously Kilmacud Crokes coming out there. You have Summerhill from Meath who are still kicking about. Like, there's some big sharks in there.
There is, yeah. And look, the only thing they can take a bit of heart from, like, obviously there was the famous win previously when Rathnew overturned Vinnie's, and like there has been shocks in the Leinster Championship. That is the thing, is that we do know that as well. Blessington will need an absolute almighty shock to go far in it, I think. But like, yeah, look, again, another side probably that's North side, I'd be absolutely delighted to get over the line, I suppose, in their county championship. That is their All Ireland final, getting over the line there as well. Doing it after a replay as well, it will be very it'd be very, very rewarding for them as well. But like, you're touching it, I think the likes of Nace, the likes of like that's probably those type of teams are the ones that are most likely to put it up to Kilmacud. And yeah, look, Kilmacud, like, when you look at it, they're an absolute superpower of a club, and that the amount of members they have, the amount of infrastructure they have as well, very, very difficult to compete with that in Leinster as well. But look, you can never, especially as well, the time of year, the pitches, the way they are as well, can never discount an upset in Leinster too, though.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, be interesting to see how they get on. The last things then we're going to touch on is the LGFA provincial semi-finals that took place in Munster and in Leinster. So next weekend is going to be Connacht and Ulster. But we'll start with Munster, and there were two semi-finals here, obviously. So the first one was the Banner Ladies from Clare. They beat Mourne from Cork by 3-17 to 4-13. That was after extra time. Now this is the giant Mourne who have the O'Sullivans, Kira and Diran, and players like that. Kira was outstanding with 2-2 in this game. But, I mean, we're going to touch on who was huge for the Banner Ladies in this one. In the other side, Ballymacarby from Waterford, they beat Fanuk St. Senans by 115 to 7 points. So we'll start with this game really quickly. We're going to look at this. Niamh O'D was the difference in this game. She, on her own, hit 3 goals and 6 points. Grania Nolan also hit 8 points. Those two were the difference makers. On top of that, Laurie Ryan, who's actually the captain of Athlone Town, she was a huge player in this game as well. And to beat a Mourne side that has the likes of Kira O'Sullivan, Clara Lynch as well, who hit 1-6, Marie O'Callaghan. But they got the victory. And Banner Ladies, it's setting up again a repeat of last year's Munster final.
Yeah, look, and I probably think a bit of a surprise this one, probably for most. I'd say, look, I think Mourne were probably heavily fancied in there as well with their pedigree, what they've won throughout the years as well. And yeah, just a great, like you said, the individual performances still just a great result, and it does set up a nice final as well. Look, Ballymacarby though, like down in Waterford as well, the dominance they've had down there as well, they're always going to be a factor in Munster as well. Jeez, yeah, probably. I don't know. Does that probably open them up as the favourites now for Munster?
It does for me. It does for me, because you look at how I know Mourne are better than Fanuk, but they, like Ballymacarby, like their dominance in Waterford, dominance doesn't even describe it. They just own the Waterford Championship. They have won 42 Waterford Championships in a row.
Oh, yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine how the Roll of Honour looks? Just one flag, one crest the whole way down. But 42 in a row. They've kept their run for provincial defence on track. Last year it was Mourne that they beat in the semi-final. Then they beat the Banner Ladies in the Munster final. I think it'll be more interesting this year to see can the Banner Ladies get revenge on them. And the form that Niamh O'D is in, as I said, 3-6 from her is ridiculous. But I probably still would lean towards Ballymacarby on this. Murren Boyce hit the goal in that game. I will still lean to Ballymacarby for this, because they will want to go further than they did last time. They want to turn that Waterford dominance into provincial dominance, into potentially All-Ireland dominance. The other provincial semi-finals which took place were over in the East, in the Leinster Senior Football Championship. Now, the first one we're talking about is Dublin champions Kilmacud Crokes. They beat Milltown of Westmeath by 2-7 to 11 points. Strong performances in there from the likes of Lauren McGee, and the goals came from Niamh Cotter and Alva Davern. So they're still on track to defend their Leinster title. And then on the other side, Niamh Kieran had a big victory. They beat Longford Slashers by 120 to 3 goals and 6 points. Even though they put up that impressive a scoreline, I still lead towards Kilmacud Crokes. And the thing is, when you're looking at these games, is can any of them stop Kilkerran Clonberne? Because they're still kicking around over in Connacht. And I think the final four will be Kilmacud, Ballymacarby, St. Ergnats, who took out Donaghmoyne, and Kilkerran Clonberne.
Yeah, no, look, I think that is the way. When you talk about Leinster in there as well, Kilmacud probably will have too much in the final as well. I know that they weren't huge winners anyway over Milltown as well, but like just with the Dublin players they have, the All-Irelands that they have in that team as well, they'll have the experience in there as well. You would imagine that, look, they should have enough to get over the line anyway and to get in to set up that semi-final the semi-final structure you talk about. But like, yeah, no, I think a great scoring as well though on the other side. But like, yeah, no, look, I do think the Kilmacud will probably come out on top there as well. And yeah, no, look, it does. It sets.
Could we see a double-double?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
You don't think Kilmacud can beat Kilkerran?
Look, I don't think they'll win the men's this year. I think, yeah, I think they'll be a little bit short this year. I think that in particular, I think that the injuries around midfield will probably come and get them. I know they were fine against Ballybowden in the men's, but like on the day when they won the Dublin Championship, but I do think if they came up against the Glen where they're having to play Conor Glass and Bradley in midfield as well, I think like missing DS and Shovlin at the moment, I think they'd get absolutely destroyed in midfield. So like at the moment, I think the women have a slightly better chance maybe of an All Ireland right now than the men, but like they both will be right up there as well. I both think they have a great chance for All Ireland finals.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. It has been another crazy weekend in the club championships across the board, left, right, and centre. Some shocks, some headlines, some great games, and some bad games. And we've covered them all here on Cluiche. So thank you very much for joining us for the 55 minutes. Until the next one, guys. Torara.